up, everybody? My name is Kent Peterson. I am your host tonight for the College Huddle. I am not JR. JR is slacking, taking the night off, relaxing probably. I don't know. I don't know exactly what he's doing. He's probably watching at some point, though. But I have a couple of my good friends, I'll call them, at this point. At least one of them is a good friend. And then maybe another guy. We'll start with him. Sonny from Locked On Illini. Welcome to the show. You're going to help me steer the ship tonight, right?
Yeah. In which direction, we'll see. But
Yeah.
no, Ken, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. I've been on the previous iteration of this show when it was the Big Ten Huddle exclusively. So it's my first time under this new venture. So I appreciate the invite.
We're going to try to keep it Big Ten tonight, but we might get off the rails a little bit, especially with this guy, Russ, from the Boiler Express podcast. I would say that probably a top 3 Madden player on this stream right now, but near the bottom, I'm guessing.
Whoa. Easy. We're going to find out tonight, though. I'm foreshadowing a little bit there, but yeah, we're going to find out. We're going
to talk about that for sure towards the end of the show, but we're going to jump right into our first topic tonight. And our first topic is, once I figure out where I'm going here, you guys got to bear with me on some of this stuff because this is my first time using this program. We're going to go to the way too early college basketball top 25. We've talked about it once on this show before, at least when I was on, with this same guy. It's Isaac Trotter from CBS Sports, and he released, like I said, his top 25 way too early poll. A couple of the Big Ten teams actually moved down. So I kind of just wanted to get your guys' thoughts. We got an Illinois fan on. We have a Purdue fan on. We'll start with Purdue. They're ranked a little bit higher than Illinois. Russ, what did you think about this top 25, this recent edition of it?
I mean, it's interesting. Purdue has been doubted for a while. I mean, this year, a lot of people tried to kind of backpedal a little bit and say, oh, that's what we expect from Payne. We expect to be competitive. We expect Purdue to be a top block. But that wasn't the case. You go back even like 3 years ago before we were ever ranked number 1 for the first time. And the history of Purdue basketball has been, what's the narrative this year for why they're going to fail? Oh, they lost Carson. They lost the Baby Boilers. They lost Trevion. They lost Jaden Ivey. They lost whatever. And so this is – I'm kind of surprised we're actually ranked at all because we lose Zach Edey after his 2-time National Player of the Year. I'm surprised that the national media is even keeping us ranked. But we do return the only guy from the Big Ten first team last year, and Braden Smith. Every other guy on the first team is not coming back to the Big Ten. And we're bringing in, a pretty stacked recruiting class. Maybe not like the star power at the very, very top, but we've got a good class coming in. And I personally, I think we should be top 10. But I'll take any kind of ranking because to me, the basketball rankings don't mean a whole lot, right? Like football, I think is a bigger deal because football, it takes a lot longer to kind of make those leaps because you're only playing 1 game a week, right? And you're playing only 12 games on the season. Basketball, 3 years ago when we were ranked for the first time, we went from unranked to number 1 in like 2 months. So like these before the season polls don't mean a whole lot to me.
Did you think that they intentionally, I say they, it was just Isaac that put this out. Do you think he intentionally put you guys right behind Indiana just as,
100%.
To get the conversation
100%.
moving a little bit? Or
Yeah.
do you think
look, Texas A&M's
really
right behind
thinks that?
Texas Tech. Like he definitely put some teams right. Alabama's right behind Auburn after Alabama made the Final Four. Like I think this is definitely some troll material here.
For sure. Sonny, you're Illini at 24. Do you agree with that? And are you surprised to see them in the top 25, or do you think they should be even higher?
No, I think 24 is about right. Before we got our last recruit from Europe, we obviously had a big hole at the wing spot, and we've got everyone knows there's a huge roster turnover. And I genuinely think that on the court, we're going to have one of the more talented teams in the Big Ten, but not in the preseason. It's going to take a while. It may take a month. It may take 2 months. But, Brad tends to do pretty well once Big Ten season starts, and I don't think it's going to be any different this year. If I was putting together my own preseason poll, I would have them right around 24, 25 as well, with the idea, potentially at some point in the season, we can be a top 15 team. But I can say, looking at this, I'm actually a big fan of Isaac Trotter. I followed him when he was an intern working for the Illinois publisher. But, this kind of confirms what I already think, that the Big Ten is good, but we don't have the star power from last year. Last year, Purdue returned almost everybody. You knew they were going to be contending for a championship. I don't think anyone in the Big Ten this year is capable of winning the national championship. And those were just kind of my own independent thoughts. And looking at this, like the highest I'm seeing is what, 17?
16.
16?
At UCLA now. Yeah, it's
Oh,
tough
right,
to
yeah.
figure out those new teams. Yeah.
So, this kind of confirms. So I don't think Isaac is too far off.
Yeah. I was wondering though, is there a team that I know you're kind of? I'll go right back to you, Sonny. Is there a team that is in the Big Ten that you think like could have a argument at this point for being in the top 25? A team that's not on here right now that maybe should be like, hey, we could be on this list right now.
It depends on how good of a coach Dusty May is. I think Michigan has an argument. They've brought in a lot of talent, but I just don't know how he's going to coach at this level. So, off the top of my head, that's who I would be thinking.
Russ, what about you? Is there a team that you think is missing from the Big Ten Conference that should be in this top 25? Or even if, I'll even give you the other option. Is there a team that you would take out at this point?
I don't know about taking out. I think I actually agree with what Sonny said about Illinois. It's just about how those pieces are going to work together. So being just inside the top 25, I think is more of a nod to the fact that more often than not over the last 4 or 5 years, Coach Underwood's gotten it together. And so I think for that reason, Northwestern and Nebraska maybe have some cases to possibly crack that top 25 pretty early on to see, especially Fred Hoiberg at Nebraska getting all those transfers. How is he going to get them to play together? Because those guys, I think he's got 4 guys that, well, 2 that really played in the Big Ten this last year, and then 2 from teams that are joining the Big Ten this year. And so he's got the talent, and how is he going to make them play together? How is that going to work out? But, I tend to lean more towards what have the coaches done in the past when you have these preseason top 25s, because, on average, you got 25% or more turnover. In case of Illinois, it's like 99.9% turnover. So, but it's more about the coaches. Like, what has the coaches done in the past? And do they show the track record of getting their team in a top 25 caliber form early in the season and throughout the season?
I would put out another team, and you just reminded me when you said 99.9% turnover. USC right now, I don't know if you guys have looked at their outgoing and incoming transfers right now. They basically have a brand new team, brand new coach this year. But with the guys that they brought in, they got some high-level guys. I think that they could, make an argument. Like you said, Russ, though, that none of these rankings at this point in the year really matter. It's fun to talk about. It's fun to make your own. But I think if you're a team that wants to make an argument, USC might be one of them just because they got the new coach and the transfers they have coming in. We're going to go to the comments real quick. We got our boy DK here. He said that Russ did not get the backwards hat memo, so you are officially getting it. It's never too late to – there we go. There it is.
There we go. What's up?
I feel bad I don't have a team right here. I should have put casual across my forehead right here.
We should turn it around now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Philip. Loyal listener to the program. Philip says Indiana hasn't finished in the top 25 in KenPom since 2016. I am not going to look that up. Do you guys know if that's true or not?
Russ probably knows.
It does not surprise me. Indiana, that's the one that if you say a team that doesn't belong there, I guess I'll go ahead and go there. I was going to not say anything just because they are Big Ten. It is the Big Ten Huddle. But Indiana has kind of been the Notre Dame of college basketball, right? What Notre Dame is in college football, they are in college basketball. Every year we hear this narrative of, they got this guy and that guy. This is going to be the year they're going to challenge. Like, if you listen to people last year, they thought Indiana might be a top 3 or 4 team in the Big Ten, and I was not buying it. I don't necessarily think I'm buying it this year. They are more talented this year, but they have started in top 25s beginning of the season many, many times. But, as that comment says, it's been a long time since they finished a top 25 team.
Yeah, I think they're going to be good enough to be in the top 25 and stay there next year. I'm really high on Indiana next season. One last comment. I got to point this out because it's awkward for me. Yeah. Big old zit right here on my big old nose. Right here in the middle of the screen. Yeah, that's happening right now. I picked at it this weekend, and it pretty much hasn't stopped bleeding since then. So thanks for pointing that out, DK. And then one last one. I guess this one just came in. Often daunted, friend of the program, 4 returning starters. Talking about Indiana here, Sonny?
Yeah, he's an Indiana fan. He's my favorite Indiana fan.
Nice.
I mean, 4 returning starters to a team that was 500 in conference. I don't know how much of a brag that is, but we'll see.
Do they? I don't think they have 4. Do they really have 4 returners?
I mean, that sounds high, but they did have, pretty much every guy that could extend their career due to COVID decided to come back. So
I'll have to double check that. I'm going to look at that after the show. Some teams that do not have 4 returning starters are some teams that are listed right here on this tweet from a very reliable source. This guy's verified on Twitter, so it has to be true. Big basketball transfers. For anyone that's listening to the pod version of this, I'm going to read through this real quick. Anybody that's transferring from a Big Ten school to a new Big Ten school, we got Goody going from Illinois to Indiana, Terrence Williams going from Michigan to USC, Eli Rice, Nebraska to Penn State, Roddy Gale going from JR's Buckeyes to Michigan. I think it's Brennan Rigsby from the Ducks over to Minnesota, Gavin Griffins from Rutgers to Nebraska, BB, I'm going to call him, UCLA to Nebraska, and then Kobe Johnson from USC to UCLA, May from, is it May? I don't know how to pronounce that name. Never heard it. Washington to Nebraska. And then rounding out the transfers interconference, Connor Esigian going from Wisconsin to Nebraska. Sonny, I'll let you start this off. Nebraska has 4 guys coming into their team from other teams in the conference. Is that a good or a bad thing?
It better be a good thing. Fred, I think, is kind of following the method from last year, and he got a firsthand look at these guys. So if he's comfortable with it, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to look at it like I don't know if there's any game breakers that they're bringing on that I'm,
Gavin Griffins, dude, Rec Specs.
All right, I mean that's fine, but again, what are the expectations for Nebraska? For me, but yeah, they definitely rated the conference for sure. Obviously, I see Burke in the chat, so I'm going to talk about Luke Goody going to Indiana. I think that was a fantastic grab by them. They loaded up on size, but they needed shooting, and that's one thing Luke Goody's very, very good at. And so for them, now. I had Burke on my show, so I phrase this very properly. It was a great pickup for them, but not necessarily a big loss for Illinois, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. Russ, who do you think is the biggest name on here that made the best move? I'm going to say just for himself personally, not for the team, not going to have more team success necessarily next year, but maybe has a bigger opportunity to make a name for himself, some more opportunities to score, some more opportunities to be the guy with his transfer.
I mean, I think you described Connor Esigian a little bit there. He's not somebody that, he may be in the Luke Goody camp where he's not maybe a huge loss. He didn't contribute a ton in Wisconsin, but he showed flashes, especially his freshman year, of what he could be capable of. And Fred Hoiberg is definitely the kind of guy that's like, if you're going to contribute to us winning ball games, you're going to get the minutes, period. No matter if you're a transfer, you're a freshman, you're whatever. So I think he could have some good opportunity. I think it's also interesting to see 2, rivalry transfers with Roddy Gale and Kobe Johnson going from, one team to supposedly their hated rivals. So do rivalries not mean a whole lot in college sports anymore? Like, I don't, those will be interesting when they have to visit those opposing arenas this year. But yeah, I think Connor Esigian could definitely capitalize on a new landing spot, new situation, and possibly getting some more minutes and showing more of the potential he flashed in the last couple of years.
Sonny, what about you? Do you have another name on that list do you think will take a big step up just for himself personally, maybe not for the whole team?
No, I was going to crack a joke about Coleman Hawkins signing on with Purdue, and that would really just rile up the whole rivalry and fan base. But no, I think Connor was the guy I was looking at. Luke Goody was the other one that I was looking at. I think Luke makes sense. The fact that he went home, and it's going to be a great storyline. Yeah, otherwise, I don't think anything jumped out at me on this list.
I think I'm going to throw Eli Rice's name in there only because the floor for him last year, I think, was really low when he was on Nebraska. I don't even know if a lot of people even know who he is from Nebraska. And he's going to another team where I think that he's going to get a tremendous amount of opportunities at Penn State because they don't have a ton coming in. They don't have a lot of freshmen coming in. They didn't do a ton. They got a couple guys in the transfer portal. Obviously, they just got Eli Rice. And I think they have one other one that's pretty high level. So I think Eli Rice could take a step up from being someone that not a lot of people know about to like, hey, who's this kid from Penn State that just dropped 24 points on us? So I'll throw his name in the hat too. Russ, what about as a team though? Who's a guy that went to a better team? And I'll phrase you the question like this. Who's going to go farther in the tournament next year or even make the tournament next year that didn't last year?
I mean, I think I side with you, and I think UCLA could be the best team transferring in from the 4 new teams. And so Kobe Johnson, maybe that's why he went across town and he said, hey, if UCLA is the better side of this rivalry, let me get over there and play in the tournament. But we saw with certain guys within the Big Ten this year transferring within the Big Ten thinking they're going to make the tournament, and then they don't. So that's not always a guarantee, especially in today's day and age. But yeah, Kobe Johnson maybe made the smartest move. Roddy Gale too possibly could be. I don't know if Ohio State's going to ride that wave that they had late in the season. They obviously had some roster turnover that I don't think even JR expected to happen. So who knows what Ohio State looks like, if they're going to make the tournament this year or not. If Dusty May can get together in Michigan, he might be dancing this year.
I'm going to put I keep on putting guys' names in a hat. I don't know where this hat is that I'm putting these guys, but Terrence Williams was on the last place team in the conference last year. So he instantly gets an upgrade just by going to USC. I don't think he's going to help them a lot, but as a team, he's definitely going to be on a better team this year than he was if you talk about last year's Michigan team. Sonny, are we missing anybody else?
No, that was a very lazy take by you. Yeah, so he's not going to be on the last place team. Yeah, that kind of makes sense, Kent. Good call.
What if USC is last place this year, though? That's a hot take all of a sudden.
Yeah, clip this. You might have the ultimate last laugh on this one, but Philip has some good points in there. Sky Clark and Trey White coming into Big Ten teams, but obviously they're not leaving Big Ten teams. But though Sky Clark was originally with one, so otherwise I think we've cleaned it up pretty well.
All right, last question on this topic. If you guys had to transfer your fandom to a Big Ten team, who would it be? Sonny, I'll start with you.
Yeah, same.
I'm going to. My wife is a Buckeye, so I'll just say Ohio State. She got her degree there, so yeah.
Russ?
Well, so we talked about this a little bit within the Boiler Express crew because we're talking about doing online dynasties with this upcoming college football game, and we're not all going to get Purdue, obviously, right? But we all want to still play each other in the Big Ten, so I would probably cop out and pick one of the new teams coming into the Big Ten, so I don't have to pick somebody that's a traditional rival within the Big Ten. So, with basketball, I'd probably go with like an Oregon. I think they've done some good things. They've had some good postseason success, and it'd be, I think, a fun team to watch play. So,
and they're changing that home court, so it's not like
otherwise
you can't pick Oregon because you'd be playing half your games at that god awful, nasty looking, ugly court they had last year.
True. Trying to see if I missed any big comments here. There was one at the beginning. Speaking of the Boiler Express podcast, Dylan here, he said, "Oh, look at the new logo." Hooked you guys up with that today, so there you go with that. Let's see. Anybody else with the transfer? We got Asijan and Griffin, all threes, no Ds. Or no defense, I should say. That kind of sounded weird, right? Let's see what this guy said. Often daunted is back. USC has one individual remaining in the building from last season. This year is a wash. The love muscle magic is bananas.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because Arkansas did not have a great year. They had a lot of preseason hype and did not have a great year.
All right. Let's see what last one. This one just came in too. Preseason rankings don't matter. IU still sucks. Haha. All right. You guys all agree with that, right?
Absolutely. It's 9:24 p.m. on a Wednesday, and IU still sucks. Yep.
Is that a thing you guys say all the time?
Yeah. It's got. Usually, you say it after like any kind of game that we beat them in. You usually just go, "Well, it's 7:34 on a Saturday afternoon, and IU still sucks."
None of the USC transfers chose to follow Andy Enfield to SMU. That is interesting because I've been told SMU has all the money, so I don't know what happened with that. All right, next topic we have here.
Trouble with that before at all,
What's that?
I said not like SMU's gotten in trouble with money before, have they? Oh wait, yeah.
True. All right, this week, let me fix this real quick. Let me go to my share screen here. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. I'm not as fast as JR on this stuff. This week, Another NCAA football 25 trailer came out. A lot of people were screen grabbing and talking about some of the ratings that were on for the football teams. So I thought it would be a fun little activity for us to kind of discuss an overall ranking, or an overall rating, I should say, if there was an NCAA basketball 25 game coming out. How would we have them ranked? Or I keep saying ranked. It's rated. Their ratings overall. So we're going to go through this. I gave everybody 6 teams. You're going to give them an overall rating. And then the one rule I was going to have in this game is that the other 2 people can either move up or move down whatever rating was given for whatever reason they want to. So let's say, for example, this first one, Russ, you have Illinois basketball overall rating. I'll let you discuss it here in just a second. If we both disagree with you, we both have a point. We can move it either up or down. So if it's too low, I'll say I'm going to move it up a point, and Sonny might say the same. Or if we think it's too high for any of these teams, we can both move it down 1 point. So, Russ, go ahead and take the floor here. You have Illinois, the NCAA basketball game 2025. You are working on staff. What is their overall rating in the game?
Yeah, so my question would be, and I hate going first on an exercise like this because there's no basis to go off. There's no barometer. There's nothing that's set. Like, what's the level of like making the tournament? What's the level of Sweet 16 team? Like, what are the ratings?
I can go first if you want me to. I'll do my first team.
Who you got first? Michigan State?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead. If you're gonna jump on that sword, I'll let you go first.
Okay, I'll go first, and I don't know. So I feel like I was kind of strict with my ratings, and I kind of went from like 60. I was trying to keep it within 67 to obviously 99 is going to be like best overall. I don't have anybody even in the 90s, so I'll just start with that. For Michigan State, I basically just went off what happened last year with all these teams. I lost a little bit of trust in Izzo just based on the season that they had, but they have a lot of guys that I like coming back. They have Fears, who I think is going to be their point guard. They have Jaden Akins back. I like Cohen Carr. They got a lot of good freshmen coming in, Jace Richardson, Kurtang, and then one decent transfer that a lot of Michigan State people like. I'm not super high on him. Frankie Fiddler on the Roof is coming to help out the Spartans next year. So with all that taken into account, I actually made scores for each category. It's like transfers, incoming guys, incoming freshmen, returning guys, coaching, and then my overall vibes of the program, and then just did an average. I got an 81 for Michigan State. 81.
All right,
what do you guys think about that?
Russ, Kent did an awful job listening to what your question was, so let me kind of take on
What
that.
was the question?
The way I have it is 90 and above is a national title contender.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay.
And the way again, this is how I did it. And for me, because this is all subjective, like I said, right now, I would say Illinois' rating is lower than what I think their peak could potentially be. So the numbers I'm going to give out is if everything went right for that particular team, what's the highest rating they can get? That's how I've done it.
Okay.
That's dumb. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Okay, so
do you want to go for? You want to do Purdue first? Then we'll let Russ go last year.
Yeah. Okay.
So if everything goes right for Purdue, that the most possible points the most
I'm
their
nicer
rating would
than
be.
Russ, though. Okay. In my opinion, I put Purdue at 88.
Okay.
Again, for me, I've said this before. I don't think anyone in the Big Ten is really capable of winning a national title this year. So I put them in that tier, like pretty much right close to 90. That could win it.
I feel like if you look at Michigan State and Purdue right now, I think that seems about right. Maybe Michigan State a little bit lower. I forgot to ask, did you guys want to move my Michigan State score at all? Or are you good with 81?
I think it depends on what the other ratings are.
Yeah, I think we should go back through afterwards and see.
Afterwards? Okay. Cool.
That'd be good. That's good, Sonny. Yeah, I like that.
All right, Russ, what do you got for Illinois here?
Yeah, so Illinois, this is kind of two good teams with Michigan State and Purdue to be able to gauge off of now. So I appreciate that, gentlemen, because I see Michigan State as kind of another bubble team this year, like maybe on the border of making tournament or not, and Purdue as being I think Sweet 16 is the floor this year. And yeah, it remains to be seen what kind of talent, who the go-to guy is going to be this year. If there is just one guy, or if it's just kind of a, a team effort this year, to see whether they can actually push for another Final Four or title game. But with Illinois, obviously I joked about it earlier, and it's a huge turnover. It's a huge turnover. There's obviously, I think the big guy is Kylan Boswell. Obviously, he's the NBA talent level. He's the guy that you would think would be kind of the go-to guy for them this year. But in situations like that, I always go to the coaching. What's the track record for the head coach? What ability has he shown in the past to, work with these pieces and get them to work together? And, I do think it's going to be a rocky start for Illinois. But also we're talking about video game ratings, right? So we're not talking about necessarily how they're going to play out of the gate. It's what their talent is on paper, basically. And I think they do have a talented team on paper, and a team that should be back in the Sweet 16 this year. So, with Purdue being 88 and Michigan State 81, I would probably put them I'm probably between like an 85 and 86. I'll probably go 85 and make Sonny have to raise them up. So I'll go 85 for Illinois, just because I don't think, outside of Colin Boswell, I don't think they got a guy that has proven that he can kind of carry the team the way that they had, both Terrence Shannon Jr. and Domask last year. I almost forgot his name, Domask. And then obviously Coleman Hawkins was a guy that is very talented. He put his name in the hat for the NBA and try to test those waters. I don't think they have the talent they necessarily had last year as a team, but it doesn't mean they can't put it together and play just as good this year, because it's a team game, and as long as you have a guy that can carry you, the other guys just got to play their roles.
I like it. I think that was a good explanation. Like we said, we'll come back and see if we're going to move these scores at all. Russ, do you mind if I go right back to you and go to Indiana so we can keep the order of the list going so I don't have to switch everything? Is that cool with you?
Yeah, sure. That's fine with me. Fine with me. So, yeah, so Indiana.
Talk about your two favorite teams back to back, Illinois and Indiana.
Right. You set this up. I know this wasn't random. This is definitely, there's no way it's random with me having to almost start with Illinois. But, Indiana, it's kind of a similar boat to Illinois. Obviously, they return more. There's a lot more known pieces, but they went 10-10 in conference last year. They're not, they're returning 4 starters, sure, but for a team that didn't perform up to expectations. They did try to address some of their weaknesses, but it's not proven to me yet. And they like I said, they didn't make the tournament. They were 10-10 last year. I would probably put them at like about an 80 personally. That's where I would put them. I know that they got a lot of preseason hype. I know that they have got the rankings and the storylines this year and the narratives that they're going to push for the Big Ten title and they're going to be one of the top 2 teams. But I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it.
All right, so you said 80? Just making sure. Sorry. There's too many things to do. I don't know how JR does this, man. There's too many things to click on while you're running this show. Sonny, UCLA, what do you got for an overall rating for the video game?
I think UCLA has got the highest ceiling, so I have them at 89. I just think, I don't know if it's going to work. I think they also have their volatility rating would be super high because obviously, we talked about Sky Clark. They brought a bunch of new guys in, but I just think of their starting point guard. If it's Sky Clark, he already had some history where he had left Illinois, halfway through the season because he didn't see eye to eye with Underwood. Well, he just signed up for Underwood 2.0 in Mick Cronin. So, I'm kind of interested to see how that relationship works out. Now, the story out this week was Sky Clark kind of regrets leaving. And, he said he didn't understand at the time what Brad was trying to do, but he does now. So maybe he's not going to take this opportunity for granted. And he's going to understand that sometimes you need tough love. And if you can handle Mick Cronin, like you're going to need that tough love. So, again, this is my more ideal scenario for each team. And so I think UCLA's got the highest ceiling in the Big Ten.
I tend to agree with that. I'm super high on UCLA next year. It's kind of like what you were saying. If everything can come together, I think they could be definitely top 3. Definitely top 3. All right, I have USC. Let's see what I have for them. I'll start out with what I actually ranked them this time. I have them at an 83. Kind of like I was talking about at the beginning of the show, they're really tough to gauge right now just because they had so many guys leaving, so many guys coming in, and I just don't know what to expect from them. Now, a lot of the guys they lost were really highly ranked, high-level guys, and a lot of the guys they brought in were highly ranked, high-level guys. So Well, it's kind of like a wait and see with them. Like, I just don't know if everything's going to come together. What I think is going to happen is they'll be pretty bad at the beginning of the year, and then by like the holiday break, I think that they'll start to put some things together and be kind of middle of the pack by the Big Ten tournament, and then make a push during that time to try to make the tournament. That's how I see it. Maybe I'm way off on that. They might be more talented than that and be near the top the whole time, but I'm putting them at an 83 though. Russ, you have Oregon, another new team. We're going back to back to back with West Coast teams, brand new teams that we don't know a ton about yet. But what do you think about Oregon?
Yeah, new team, new floor, and I didn't even plan when you asked me who my allegiance would switch to, that it would be a team I have to rate later on. But yeah, Oregon's got, they've got some talent coming in. They got 3 4-star transfers coming in, and they've shown the track record in the past, like I said, to compete in the postseason in March. But it's gonna be a lot of travel. It's gonna be a new conference, but talent wise, I would expect them to be a bubble team. So I would put them right around that 80 mark as well. It's gonna be a lot of travel, but this is ratings, right? This is their talent on paper. TJ Bamba from Villanova is probably the biggest get in this offseason. And can he stand up with the guard? Because this is gonna be a guards league this year, I think. Especially with, I think Braden Smith's gonna be the front runner for player of the year. And there's gonna be a lot of good guard play across the league. So I think that if he can do well, then their ceiling would rise. But I think I would start them at about an 80.
So I'm just curious, you think Oregon and Indiana are on the same level starting the year next year then?
Yes, I believe. I mean, they both were. I think actually Oregon finished better in the Pac-12 than what Indiana did in the Big Ten. So that's just my thinking. This is me taking over, right? This isn't. I think of the video game, the same people that rated the football game rated the basketball game. They'd probably have Indiana at like a 95 and Oregon at like a 75, sure. But like this is Russ's rankings, not.
That's right. That's right. And now we're going to go to Sonny's rankings. Team we just talked about on your show a few days ago, Sonny, is Rutgers. They got some super freshmen coming in, but they're going to rely on them a lot. What do you think about Rutgers for next year?
Yeah, I think I got the most fun team to rank or to rate, as you said, just because when you think about the video game portion of this, they're going to be inflated a little bit because of the 2 stars that they got coming in Bailey and Harper. So the rest of the team, they obviously lost to Morier. I'm not sure how high I would be on, but I'm just trying to take a look at the ratings of the other teams. I think their best case scenario is bubble, and that's if Bailey and Harper ball out this year. So I think you put Michigan State at 81, so I'll put them at 81 as well.
That seems about right. I think that's right. I think Rutgers and Michigan State are like on the same level for next year. All right, I got Nebraska. I've kind of trashed Nebraska like the last 2 months on this show, so it's difficult for me to give them a high ranking. And it's not because I don't like Nebraska. I like their coach. Obviously Hoiberg's a great guy, but they lost Tominaga. They lost Rank Mass for next year. That's a big part of their team for next year. So I get that they're bringing in a lot of transfers and they're going to try to get those guys to work together, but I'll be frank with you. Gavin Griffins and Connor Essegian just don't move me that much. They just don't. Not very excited. I know their home court is a tough place to play, but the vibes are low for me. I'm not super excited about everybody that's coming back with the injury, with everything that they're losing. I got them at a 72. Nebraska, 72. All right, right back to Russ here. You got JR's Ohio State Buckeyes. What do you think about them?
Well, I'm glad JR's not on here then, because I'm probably going to break the 80 barrier here and drop below that, because while they did have a good finish to the season last year, they lost Akpara, lost Ed Key, lost Roddy Gale, lost Scotty Middleton. Now they brought talent in, right? They got Aaron Bradshaw from Kentucky. They get Michi Johnson back. They get Sean Stewart from Duke. So they're bringing in some talent, but it's a team that didn't have a lot of depth, and I don't think he brought in a ton of depth this year. So you might have some fun starters to play with if you're playing them video game form. But once somebody gets in foul trouble or they get a little fatigued, that you might be struggling. So I would put them, if we're saying like the bubbles around 80, 81 for making the tournament, I would probably put them at like a 78 with the chance to maybe improve on that throughout the season if they can get their chemistry working together and get some guys off the bench that provide some depth and provide some relief for that second team unit. But I would put them right there like 78, high 70s. Yeah.
I like it. Sonny, Wisconsin, another team that I have not been very high on. What do you think about everything that they lost and what they're going to be coming in with next year?
Yeah, they lost a lot of guys, as we know. The way I've got them rated, I'm taking a look right now, is they're on the bubble, but they're outside. So if I had Rutgers at 81, I'll put Wisconsin at 79. I do like Blackwell. I really liked watching him last year. And the kid from Northern Illinois, Xavier Amos, he was a guy that I kind of had, as someone I wouldn't have minded Illinois pursuing. So I think they did get some quality players back in. Not enough to make the tournament next year, though.
All right. I'm just like thinking about it right now. Like AJ Storr on the video game, I think would have been nasty. I think he would have been like unstoppable. They probably give him some like extra special like dunking abilities, I feel like, for a video game. All right, I have Northwestern. One of my favorite teams in the Big Ten. My favorite coach. Some of my favorite players. They got Barnheiser, friend of the program, coming back. They have Barry, hopefully returning from injury, back and maybe better than before. And then I believe they still have Martinelli too. So got a few 3-stars coming in. So nothing like really that you're going to write home about, I don't think. Maybe those guys are going to be great, though. We'll see. But best coach in the Big Ten pushes them up for me a little bit. I think that they're going to make the tournament for the third straight year and for the third time in program history, I believe. So I have Northwestern at an 81 for next year.
Did Russ not hear you say that Northwestern had the best coach in the Big Ten? Because I saw no facial reaction from Russ, and I
know he's a big Chris Collins truther. I know I'm not. Or Chris Collins, he's a big Collins truther, so I'm not really fazed by it. I'm
There's
more,
nothing to be a truther about. It's just factual information.
Wow. I was waiting for it.
How many Sweet 16s has he made?
All right, I think it's time to bust it out. I waited for this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring my
time
mouse.
to go to Maryland. Okay, all right.
I don't have it ready. I don't have it ready. Okay, here it is. Where's my mouse at? Here it is.
Kids, no good.
Oh, a little audio on there. Okay, all right.
Totally lost my computer screen here, though, but that's all right. I'll get it back. Russ, I think you have the next team. It's Maryland. What do you think about them?
Yeah, Maryland. So obviously Jameer Young's their big loss, right? Like that's a big piece to lose a guy that's not just all conference caliber, but all American caliber, leading your team, and a team that underachieved greatly last year, right? Like they were expected to be, the top 25 beginning of the season, be in the top 3 or 4 in the conference, maybe make a Sweet 16 run or whatever, but that obviously was very far from what happened with their season. And they do bring in, some good recruits. They bring in, Rodney Rice, Jacoby Gillespie, 4-star transfers. Julian Reese, Juju Reese is coming back, and he could be, all defensive first team in the Big Ten. But you got to be able to score the ball as well. And I don't think that they, maybe address that very well, other than maybe with freshmen. And so I would put them, right there around Ohio State range. I would put them at 78 as well.
Okay.
I think once you rate all the players on their team, that they might have some talented guys just like Ohio State, but I think once you put their depth in there, it's not a lot of proven depth to justify them being rated higher than that.
Plus Kevin Willard, so like there's that. Sonny,
Yeah.
You have Michigan Wolverines. You just talked about it, or we just talked about it, I guess, as a team. They got a new coach, bunch of new guys coming in. What do you think their rating if they were going into a video game? And will they have baggy shorts if they were in a video game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sad, that Juwan Howard is gone. That was my favorite punching bag in the conference for the last X amount of years. I think Dusty May is a really good coach, and so I'm giving them a little bit credit. I don't think he can go from finishing last in the Big Ten to an NCAA tournament in 1 year, but they're not going to be in the tournament. They're not going to be in the bubble discussion. So I'll probably put like 75, 76. Not quite. They're not going to be in the contention for repeating as the worst team in the conference, but I don't think they're quite there yet to be in the argument for making the tournament this year.
Okay.
But I think in 2 years, Dusty's going to get that train rolling.
Yeah. I think so too. It is going to be tough this year, although I do like the transfers that they brought in. It's funny. It's like a team like Michigan. It's like they lost a bunch of guys, but they sucked last year. So it's like, who cares? Get rid of everybody. I would want a brand new roster if I was him. All right, I have Penn State. Zach Hicks is like the only guy, if you're a casual fan like me, that you're going to know that's coming back, I believe. I like Rhodes as a coach. They have a really fun freshman. I wanted to say this name. Or I'm sorry, transfer, not freshman. Freddie Dillione from Tennessee. Dillione. Dilly, guys. Dilly. You guys remember those Bud Light commercials?
Dilly.
And then they have, like I talked about earlier, Eli Rice coming from Nebraska. I think that Penn State is going to be one of the worst teams in the Big Ten next year. I think that if I was rating them on a video game, there's not a ton that gets me super excited to try to bump up their rankings as far as their players. It would be Dillione, really. And actually, he was a 4-star transfer, so I think he's going to be pretty good, too.
Hey, and Ace Baldwin's coming back. I had to check on that when you said you didn't know if anybody was coming back. I was like, Ace Baldwin's coming back, isn't he?
Yeah,
But
he just
you were very confident, so I had to check that.
Okay, so so I do know two people then. Maybe I should know the defensive player of the year. For some reason, I saw Kanye Clary where he's going next year, and just immediately in my head said that they're not getting any guards back, and I don't know why I forgot about him. So that's on me. Yes, Ace Baldwin. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Maybe they would get bumped up because of him. Regardless, though, I've already done my rating. So Penn State, like I said, one of the worst. I think they're going to be at the bottom of the Big Ten. Maybe not even make the Big Ten tournament. I have them at a 64.
Yikes.
Oh,
Yikes.
I think I said I was going to try to keep it above 68, too, and I didn't. I didn't do that.
Yeah, that's rough.
Sorry,
That's
Penn
rough.
State.
I mean, I had a number in mind.
Does it
for
even go
Minnesota.
that low
I'm
on the game, you think?
I might have to reevaluate now. I feel like Oakland, who knocked off Kentucky, might be higher than 64 going in this year.
Maybe.
Yeah. So Minnesota, I know that's a team that broke your heart. At least the personnel moves there broke your heart because Cam Christie, I believe, officially kept his name in the draft. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously Elijah Hawkins is gone, Pharrell Payne gone, Ola Joseph gone, and did not really bring in any big name guys from the transfer portal. So
they got one. They do have one. It's not. I was about to say Frank Lucas. That's the
Frank
name
Mitchell.
of the guy from American Gangster. One of those names is right though. They got a center that's going to be a really good big for them. He was like top 10 in the country rebounding last year. Can't remember where he came from though. I'm sorry.
They show the logo and I can't even see what school he came from, Frank Mitchell, but he was only a 3-star guy, so I don't think that there must not have been a lot of love for him on the 24/7 side at least. But and in Minnesota, I mean, Ben Johnson's a guy that he's a coach that I like, but hasn't necessarily had the results to maybe even keep his job after this year if it doesn't look too good. So I don't know what direction they're going to be headed as a program, and I think that they're I would put them not as low as Penn State, but I'd probably put them at like a 72 going into this year probably.
I feel like I was extra hard on Penn State. I kind of feel bad now after you guys responded to that.
Yeah, Ace Baldwin's about to come D you up.
I'm changing it. I'm changing it right now. Ace Baldwin gives them 5 points, so I'm gonna put him at a nice solid 69.
Nice.
They'll enjoy that. All right, Sonny, your last team that you have to rate here, it's Iowa. What do you think about their video game potential next year without Tony Perkins?
Oh, this is not the women's team. There's no Caitlin Clark. Okay. No, I think I was always going to be a fun team to play with in a video game because it's all pure offense. So just because of their style, they're kind of the fun team to play with. Whether you're going to win or not, that's something completely different. But they're bringing back what's his name? Owen Freeman, the Big Ten freshman of the year. They're not going to be contending for anything. I don't think they're going to be in the bottom of the division conference. I know I keep saying that, but trying to compare the ratings, I'd probably put them kind of at the Nebraska, Michigan level. So I'll just say 74. I'll put them there. Owen Freeman's numbers are actually on par with who won the Player of the Year like 2-3 years ago? He stole it from Io. Garza.
Okay,
Garza.
Yeah.
That's who I'm trying to think of. I think he's a really talented player, and I think he's going to fit that system well. They're just going to build around him the way they did Garza, and so I don't think I think they'll be fine. Fine for Iowa, meaning not last place.
I think they're going to stink next year because they lost Tony Perkins, and he was my favorite player, and I'm still bitter about it. All right, I got the last team. It's Washington. I have them at a break-even 80. I think that kind of is good for them. I didn't know a lot about Washington right before the show started, but based on what I did look up, they had the number 8, according to 24/7 Sports, which is a website. They had a top 10 transfer class coming in. And then some fun names for freshmen that are coming in. Zoom. I'm just going to call him Zoom. That's his first name, Zoom. So I'm excited about that guy just because of his name. I could not pick their coach out of a 3-person lineup. I just couldn't do it. His name is Mike Hopkins, if you guys don't know that. But I'm going to just trust the rankings a little bit here with what they have coming in with the transfer portal. And just kind of off vibes in general that I was reading on some websites right before the show started. I just put them at an 80, which I guess now that I'm looking at it is I feel like they're going to be better than Wisconsin. And I'm looking at that score. Some of the other teams right there, maybe I don't know about Northwestern. Maybe I put too high. I don't know. All right, let's go back through this real quick. Take just 2 minutes here. Any movement going to happen now that we have all made our points? I'm going to try to go through the comments, too, if anybody said anything about any of these teams while we're talking. Philip said Indiana 75. Coaching is bad, but we're not on Indiana yet, so we'll come back to that. Sonny, do you want to move Illinois up or down?
I definitely want to move them up. Again, in my own scenario, if everything goes the way in an optimal direction, I would put them at 88. 88, 89. Again, I don't think they're capable of winning a national title this year, but I think they are absolutely capable of winning the Big Ten as long as, again, optimal scenario. I think so.
Yeah, I'm actually going to bump them up 1 point as well, Russ, because I have them as the 4th best team in the conference right now, which I'm trying to look at all of them and see if that's where their rating is.
Yeah, they were
now.
3rd. I wasn't too. I mean, my point was to have them top 3 or top 4 in the conference, and I thought we'd have more teams kind of around that 85 range. But it seems like we really didn't put many in that range, and so I do think Illinois will be a top 3 team in the conference this year. So I don't mind you guys bumping them up at all.
Okay, I think that's fair, right? Because I have them near. See, the only one that's not in the top 5 that I have way higher is Indiana, obviously with Russ doing that. But or maybe I'm wrong about that. I'll put them at an 87 though. Let's see, Russ, do you want to move up your Boilermakers a point? We just moved up Illinois 2 points.
Of course I do. I mean, you're returning Braden Smith, who I think will be Big Ten Player of the Year this year. I think Trey Coffin-Wren is going to shock people. We have another 7-footer coming in, not just off the bench, but also one coming in the freshman class. I think Jakari Harris and Cannon Catchings are going to be great freshmen this league, but I don't know if they're going to get much minutes because we do return 3 starters off a team that went 17-3 in conference last year. Cam Heide, I don't know if you saw that dunk he made in the Final Four this year, but he has got some athletic skills that are going to wow some people this year, and he's going to surprise people. Miles Colvin, who was a freshman last year, I think he's going to play a much bigger role for us this year. So I don't see how you wouldn't have them at least tied with the best team in the conference this year, as far as who you ever had ratings wise in our league. So if you're gonna have UCLA 89, I think Purdue should be 89 for sure.
Yeah, I think. Are you gonna be mad at me if I don't bump your team up a point after I just bumped up Illinois?
Oh no, because I don't think that they should be a 90 necessarily. I think that if you're talking about teams, being updated throughout the season, which like they're talking about with the College Football 25, I think Trey Coffin-Wren is one of those guys that he hasn't proven it. So understandably he's going to have maybe a lower rating, but once he starts to put a body of work together this season, could be somebody that would bump them up and then would obviously bump up the team rating. So I don't think they should be at 90 if we're doing a hypothetical game right now.
All right. Now that we're past the teams that you guys care about, we'll go a little bit quicker on these other ones. Sonny, do you want to move Michigan State at all?
No, they're fine.
Russ?
No, it's fine with me.
Okay. I'm going to definitely move Indiana up 1 point. At least I have them in the top 3 in the conference.
It's more than 1 point. They're at 80 because you gave them to Russ. I mean, I think Indiana probably has the second or third highest ceiling on now. I don't think they're going to reach that ceiling because of their head coach, and they've got their history, but they accumulated a lot of talent. Like if I was doing this, Indiana would probably be like an 86, 87 in these sort of rankings. So 80 was just criminally low.
Come on, Russ. What's up
Well,
with
that's
that,
just
bro?
tough because, like, even if you look at last year, Khalil Ware was supposed to be their savior last year, right? He was supposed to be Big Ten Player of the Year caliber or whatever. And and I get that part of it's because Woodson's the coach, but the coach has an impact on the performance, right? Like, I give Illinois some props and say that they're going to be a top 3 team because of their coach, even though they have all these new pieces. Well, Indiana has all these new pieces, but a coach that has not shown the ability to put it together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where my thinking was there for sure.
And again,
And
I think
you
the
hate
reason
them.
our numbers differ so much is I'm viewing it through like a certain lens. Like everything goes right. So somehow this year, Mike Woodson figures it out with all that talent on the court, and they've got a war chest when it comes to the NIL. So let's just say their dream scenario.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with Sonny on the 89. Russ, do you think that should move at all for UCLA?
I think they should be bumped down. I mean, you're talking about a team that didn't finish above 500 last year. Indiana's at least had some decent years the last few years, and UCLA has as well. But I mean, you're talking about a team that finished below Oregon in the Pac-12 last year, and they do bring in a ton of talent. But to prop them up and put them as the top-rated team in the conference when they're moving to a new conference, because that's going to cause them to struggle a little bit as well, I think. Being the top team in the conference would be a little high for me.
All right. I'll go right back to you because I went to Sonny first last time on mine. Did you like my 83 for USC?
I said I'd bump them down as well. Like I said, I'm not huge on these teams coming in from the Pac-12. I think it's a different brand of basketball. I think it's going to be a tougher transition for the basketball teams than it will be the football teams transition to the Big Ten because, the Big Ten I believe is the best conference in the country, and they're going to be up for rude awakening, I think.
All right, Sonny, did you want to move that as well, or are you good with the 82?
82 is fine by me.
All right, and then I don't know about Oregon, man.
Yeah.
I just don't know about them. So it just doesn't, I don't know.
No, I mean, 80 sounds about like bubble team. So
yeah,
I think they're probably on the right side of it, but I think 80 is about right.
Okay. I'm going to do Rutgers just one higher, and I'm going to go based on what you kind of said, Sonny. I think or one of you guys said it. I can't remember now. It's been a long night. Video game rankings I feel like are a little inflated. So I feel like with all the hype that Rutgers has, like Sonny definitely said that, I'm just going to bump them up one more point just to get people excited about the Rutgers team and get them picking Rutgers a little bit more. Russ, what do you think?
Contradict, can I just take your point off? Because I was actually going to go down a point on them because I feel like, video game ratings do get hyped, but I feel like how often do you run to buy Madden because you're excited to play with Caleb Williams and the Bears and see what his rating is, and his rating's like 76, and you're like, what the heck? And it's like, well, because he's a rookie, right? He's a freshman. So like these guys are going to have talent, and I think they're going to have that, that superstar development trait that you can see them shoot up. But I mean, it's freshmen. Like it's, they've still got to prove it in the Big Ten, not just in Division I, but in the Big Ten. So.
All right, I did miss. I said I was going to click on some comments. We have Oregon better than Iowa. I think that we kind of have that on here. Let's see. Michigan may finish higher in the Big Ten standings than Michigan State. I think that isn't crazy to say. It just kind of depends on what they do and everything coming together. Who's Indiana's alpha next year? I think it's Ballo. You guys disagree with that? It's got to be, right?
I mean, is it not going to be Renew? Maybe Mbako? Like I think that's part of their struggle, right? That Woodson's gonna have to figure out who's the guy, how they're gonna run it, how they're gonna run the hot hand, because I think they struggled even running the hot hand this last year. When Galloway was having good games, they turned around and kept feeding Renew and Ware instead. So that's a good question.
You think it's Ballo or do you think it's Renew, Sonny? Or do you not care?
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna mess it up anyway. So like it's we'll see. It's
gonna be Mike Woodson. That's who it's gonna be. That's the alpha in that room right there.
The ghost of
let's
Bobby
see.
Knight.
We also have Dana Altman deserves some benefit of the doubt. I think we gave him that. I don't know if I clicked on this one. Illinois higher. I think that's pretty much it about the rankings. All right. Second half here. Sonny, do you want to change Ohio State at all?
No, 78's about right.
I like it too. Russ, do you want to change Wisconsin at all? I'm moving them down one.
Yeah, they lost a lot. I'd probably go down another one too. But that high 70s is fine. But I think Ohio State, I would put them a hair above Wisconsin. So
I know for sure you guys aren't going to change my Northwestern ranking or rating, right? Anybody?
I want to see Brooks back on the show, so let's add like 10 to that.
All right, fair enough.
No, for real, Sonny, you could change it, though. Do you think it's too high?
Yeah, I think they're too high.
Okay.
I'd probably put them in like the 77 range, but
you only get 1 point to change, sir.
that's
Those
why
are the rules.
that's what I would do. So
Okay.
you are free to do as you wish.
Russ, you good with 80 then, for real?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Sonny, Maryland at a 78. Man, I don't know. I feel like that. Russ, I feel like you did a pretty good job on this because they are tough to figure out at this point. So I'm going to just leave it alone, I think.
I really don't like Willard, but fine. I'd probably knock him down a point.
Let's do it.
Just because of coaching.
Michigan, another one. There's so much like undetermined, so I don't know. I'll leave that one alone too. Russ, do you want to move it?
No, yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm fine. I think that's a good rating. I think that shows them as a team that they could, if they improve and they put the pieces together, could make the tournament, but they aren't expected to.
You guys already convinced me to move Penn State up 5 points. Do you want to bump them up even more? We have no other teams in the 60s right now.
But Eighth would be one of the more fun players to play with, though. You just constantly harass the opposing point guard and hit the steal button and try to swipe it. So he'd have a high rating for sure.
Yeah.
I think Dylan would be mad if I asked you to change that rating, so we'll keep it there.
I agree. There's got to be one with that. All right. I'm definitely bumping up Minnesota a point just because of Parker Fox. Sonny, do you want to move him at all?
No.
Doesn't matter. Okay. And then the last one, Washington. What do you guys think about the 80 for Washington? Fine? Or that was mine. You guys like that?
I would go down one on Washington as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I 80 for me is the tournament, so I don't think that they're on the inside of the tournament. So I'd probably bump them down to 78, 79. So
yeah, they were one of my early picks that's in danger of missing the Big Ten tournament, let alone the NCAA tournament.
All right, I'll put them at a 78 then. All right. That was the last topic we had. The only other thing I wanted to talk about as we wrap up the show here, we have just a couple more minutes. Russ, the challenge has been laid out. We are going to play Madden. I think I was thinking Sunday. I don't know if you're available Sunday. I didn't even ask you. But there's some huge implications on the line in this Madden game. Do you want to tell the people what that is?
Yeah, so there's a debate, and it's ironic that Sonny is on this show as well because, of course, we did this last segment based off of the new EA college football game coming out, and something that Kent has expressed great desire in purchasing. Oh, thanks, Kent. Appreciate that.
Sorry.
Just blocked my face out there. Yeah.
Dude, it's a new program for me, man. I'm sorry. I'm learning it.
But yeah, no, I know Kent has expressed interest in the new EA college football game, but has to buy a new system in order to play it. And Sonny has tried to influence him, or at least recommended PS5. And I've already got an X series, so I'm ready to go on Xbox because that's what I've done the last few systems. So I didn't know that you agreed to it. I suggested that I'll just play you, and if you beat me, then you get a PS5. If I beat you, you get an Xbox. So
what you should do is, if Kent wins, Russ also has to buy the PS5.
Oh yeah, because here's the thing. I listened to your last show, and I know that you don't have the new system yet, unless you bought it this week, because that was 7 days ago. That would be huge, though. Did you buy a new system?
Oh, yes, I did. Yeah, I purchased it yesterday. Yes.
You're lying, dude. You're lying.
No, I'm not lying.
What'd you get? The X series?
The X series, yes. The X series. I'm trying to pull up the photo. I sent it to the group chat as well. Because I told you it was on sale, not sponsor. It was on sale at Sam's Club through the end of the week, but we're getting ready for a vacation next week, so I didn't want to miss out on the sale. So I just went in with the Xbox because the other Boiler Express guys have got Xbox as well. So I kind of got to stick with them so we can do it.
You can't play your Dynasty, which I, by the way, didn't get invited to yet, so that's weird. Can't play.
You
don't
have
an Xbox.
You haven't even bought the system. How am I supposed to invite you to something?
Neither did you when you were talking about it on the show. You didn't have your system, and you're talking about playing Dynasty with all your boys. You didn't have it yet.
Well, they already had it. So
okay, fair enough. Can you not do that cross-platform though?
No, so I know they've done that with Madden, but I think they didn't want the bugs to be an issue because there's been some bugs with cross-platform with Madden. So it's not going to be in the first year of the game with EA College Football.
Whack.
So, yeah, unfortunately.
Whack. Sonny, so I can't remember who all I talked to about this. Did you actually tell me to get a PS5, or I know I talked to a few people about that. Was that you?
I actually never did.
Okay, I think I was
told
talking
you
to my
I had
brother about
one,
it. Yeah.
and that's the system I have. So when I buy the game, that's what I'm going to get it. That's what I'm buying it for. But as I told Russ privately, like I'm shocked he's an Xbox guy because usually it's the younger kids that are with a Microsoft, and us older guys we stick with Sony and the reliable PlayStation. So I still think, but I think Philip has the best idea. Take a look at his last comment.
Yeah. I was just looking at this.
Yeah, I think we need to look into this and see.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I did offer to do my first stream on the College Huddle, like all their platforms or whatever. I offered to do that. I'm gonna do a stream the first day, like of the new game, and I'm not gonna get off the stream until I get 10 wins online. And actually, I just hit up my my neighbor. My neighbor has like a kid that's about to go to college, and he's like big into like video editing. He said that he would produce the show for me, so all I have to do is play. I'm gonna teach him how to like do all the clicking on my little system that I actually know how to use. And he said he would do it. So I'm going to get him a camera and a mic too. So I have somebody hanging out with me at least too. Shout out to Lucas. He said he would do it. I don't know if he's actually going to do it. We'll see. But we'll see how that goes. Sonny, make a pick though. If we actually get to play this game, who you got, man? Pick a side right now before this game goes down.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen either of you play. I don't know what teams
Doesn't
you guys
matter.
are picking.
I'm playing with the Lions, by the way. That's a start.
All right, so
Who you gonna play with, Russ?
Oh, my Cowboys, of course. Got my boys. Dak, CD. Come on now. That O-line. Micah Parsons. Come on now. You can be running for your life.
I think Russ wins. I think Russ has a little confidence about this. Like he's already talking about Madden ratings, which he randomly brought up earlier in the show. I think he's playing it a little bit more consistently. Kent, I think you just basically started playing like 2 weeks ago, streaming from what I saw. So I'm going to go with Russ on this one.
What time are we gonna play? If this is the case, if it's past your bedtime, are we gonna have to
I
do
was
this
actually
early,
prepared. I
like
thought we were
before
playing
4
right
o'clock
after we got
dinner
off
here?
Yeah,
What's
I thought
up?
we were playing. I thought we were playing right after we got done here. I was ready to go. But
You want to go? We can set it up.
Let's go.
I got to get a couple things set up actually, but if you really want to play, I can get it set up tonight. Sonny, thanks so much for helping me through this show, man. I'm not used to being the lead horse here.
Yeah, we saw.
Tell everybody where to find you and where they should be following and subscribing and listening to your podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again, Kent, for having me on. Thanks, Russ, for being so nice. You can find me at Locked On Illini now. That's a new daily show that I was very fortunate to have that opportunity be offered to me. Otherwise, I still have a Illini cast, which we are trying to do about once or twice a week. That's more long form Illinois talk and kind of go back and forth with the community. Big Ten show is coming back. I was on a little hiatus while Justin and I were kind of handling other obligations, but we'll be having another episode next week. And otherwise, yeah, just follow me at the Sunny V. I'm also doing a new Chicago Bears show starting next month. So I'm pretty busy on that whole YouTube thing.
And from what I've seen too, you have like the best looking guests ever on that show. Just like out of the gate, you got some really good looking guys like to come on and like.
We started off well this past week.
Russ, I've been trying to come on your show, by the way. Tell everybody about your podcast.
Yeah, oh yeah. So Boiler Express podcast. You see the nice new logo that we got set up with there. Just search Boiler Express anywhere you listen to podcasts or watch podcasts. It's Boiler Express, one word, followed by an underscore. If you're looking for us on Twitter or X or Instagram, so come check us out. I appreciate you having me on. Enjoy being on with Sonny. I know Purdue and Illinois fans have had a beef that's kind of come out of nowhere this year. So we obviously have that, but I've said before, Sonny's the best kind of Illinois fan. You know, he pays respect to Purdue, but he also has his homer takes. You know, that's all you can ask for. So,
and you know, I actually did want to mention Kent is going to be on weekly on Locked On Illini. He's going to have a recurring. We're calling it what, Casual Fridays.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that nice? He came up with that. That was a good idea.
Yeah.
I was mad that I didn't come up with that idea. I was really bitter about that. I do want to come on your show too, Russ. I've been saying I'm ready, dude.
Yeah, we just haven't been as consistent. It's been off season, so if you're looking for us, there's going to be more, especially on Twitter, there's going to be more of them sharing shows that I've come on or Chris has done. So we're trying to get a little more consistent. But yeah, when we definitely get into the basketball talk, we'll get you on there, Kent, for sure.
That's what's up. All right, make sure you guys are following the College Huddle and, of course, myself at Casual Big Ten. I think I'm running the stream for this, right? Is that cool with you if we actually play, Russ? Is that cool?
Yeah, I haven't used my streaming stuff for a while, so I don't know.
All right.
If you have,
So if you guys want to see
I
this
wanna say
game
one more
actually go
thing.
down. What's up, Sonny?
Before we're done, this might have been the best episode of the College Huddle I've seen since this new franchise started. I don't know if it's because of the new host.
yeah, I don't know if there's something different, but
But I don't know. Questions need to be asked. People in charge
don't know
have
either.
some decisions to make. Just
is
gonna
someone gonna be enraged if there wasn't a rankings list without Ohio State as number one? Is there not like? Did we
He might
mess up
change
that
his
tradition?
password tonight now that he's seen me host once. And like Zach, I think, was hosting last night, the football one. He'll probably still have it, but he's going to change it for me. He's not going to let me come on again after he sees this.
understand.
Appreciate it, though, JR. Hope I did you proud, buddy. All right. We'll see you guys. I don't know when they do shows on this thing. I try to keep track of it as much as I can, but go follow them and you guys can figure it out. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.